Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And hello to anyone who might be tuning in anonymously on Facebook. I'm glad that you are here. We will begin today from a comfortable seat. And as we start class, you can't see it, but I've got a little cushion underneath my seat. It's a little zafu is the fancy name for it. But I like that because in the morning, before I'm really warmed up, my knees tend to be higher than my hips when I sit. And it's recommended if when you sit, if your knees go a little higher, to artificially lift your hips. So place a folded blanket, a cushion, or a block. And that lowering of the knees really gives your hips permission to open. And so from here, we'll invite the eyes to close. You can rest the backs of your hands on your legs. Maybe bringing the thumbs and the forefingers towards each other in Gyan Mudra. And just let your awareness shift here into the steadiness of your breath. Just connecting here with this flow of inhale and exhale. Observing each breath in its entirety, observing this inhale and where it goes in your body, both physically, and feeling the inflation of your lungs, maybe a rounding of your abdomen, but also energetically connecting with the energizing effect of this in-breath, the renewing effect of this flood of fresh prana for your body. And observing too that shift that happens when the inhale becomes the exhale. Noticing the physical effects of that exhale, feeling your breath as it leaves your body, your lungs deflating inward. You might even find a softening of your shoulders. And again, noticing as the exhale again transitions to the inhale. And so let's try to draw that transition out, that shift from inhale to exhale, from exhale to inhale. Seasonally, we find ourselves right now in one of those transitional periods. We get a little less of that sharp transition here in Florida, but it's still there. As we now just prepare transitioning into spring. In today's practice, we'll focus on connecting and grounding inwards during that transition. Yogi's sister science of Ayurveda believes that in the spring, we tend to be a little more flighty. Depending on your type, Ayurvedically, that might register as more aches and pains in the body, in the joints specifically. Might manifest as being more forgetful. And this practice is designed to help counter that Ayurvedic effect of spring season. Grounding so that you can enjoy all the beauty, all the pollen. Let's bring our palms towards each other, coming to Anjali Mudra. Let's take a nice little inhale and the sound of Om for your exhale. Oh. Good, nice big inhale here. Exhale, release your hands down. Let your chin come inwards. Allow your eyes to open here. Good, and lifting your chin upward. Let's take a nice inhale here. Stretch your arms up and over your head. Exhale, take a turn to one side. Just easy seated twist here. One hand reaches for the opposite knee. Gaze comes over your shoulder. Just breathing here. So take that same curiosity about the breath that we had in a simple seated, applying it to this shape. Next inhale, bring yourself back to center. Reach your fingertips up. Exhale, easy twist, opposite side. Backhand ground here. If you have a cushion beneath you, maybe into the cushion or into the ground. Use the back fingertips pressing down to lengthen your spine nice and long. And stay connected here with your breath. Noticing those moments of transition from inhale to exhale, and from exhale to inhale. Next inhale, bring your body back to center, stretch up. Bring your palms to heart center here. Good. Release your hands down, chin in. Remove any seat that might have been underneath your body and bring yourself into hands and knees. So coming here into our tabletop position, settle your wrists beneath your shoulders, knees beneath your hips. We'll find a gentle Chakrabakasana to open here. Inhale, drop your belly down, lift your gaze up. Exhale, send the center of your spine pressing upwards, weight of your head reaching down, and just moving here with your breath. One of the things that shifts our yoga practice from being more than physical, that brings this practice away from simply the realm of exercise and into this mind-body, is keeping this focus on the breath through your practice. So really noticing how your inhales and exhales feel in this shape. Then take a few more rounds here of our cat and cow. Next breath, bring your body to a neutral spine, gaze down, spine parallel to the ground. Rotate your fingers backwards, sending the center of your wrists pointing forward here, giving yourself a stretch into the wrist. And just nice deep breathing here. Good. Rotate the fingertips forward here. Again, settle your hands underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under if they're not already. Gaze here is down. Use an inhale. Stretch your right leg up behind you. And as your right leg lifts, bring that heel to the right hip point. So we're not bending the heel inwards, but long leg and the heel's coming to the height of your hip. Gaze here can lift. Big inhale. Exhale, tuck your chin in. Bring your right knee as if you're going to touch your nose. So we're going to inhale, lengthen long. Gaze lift. Exhale, draw your knee inward. Eyes drop inward. And so moving here into our sun dog, moving with your breath. Each inhale, kicking back, lifting your gaze. Each exhale, drawing in. Good. One more big inhale. Next exhale, bring your right knee down to the ground. Uncurl your toes here. Snuggle the inner edges of your knees and thighs together. Find a tick-tock, hips to one side, gaze over the opposite shoulder, back and forth, just moving side to side. Good. Bringing yourself back towards center here. Keep your knees drawing towards each other. Curl your toes under. Rotate your fingers backwards and walk your fingertips closer to your knees. And as we do that, the hips are naturally going to come closer to your heels. So we're setting up here for our lion's pose. Toes are curled under, hips are reaching towards the heels, fingers pointing backwards. If that gets really uncomfortable, you can do this shape with fingers forward. So don't stress yourself out. If that's starting to be enough of a stretch for you, go ahead and release it. In our lion's pose, we're going to take our lion's breath. And as a reminder, lion's breath is the silly one. It's the inhale through the nose. When you exhale, you're going to stick your tongue out as far as it can go. Open your eyes as wide as you can and look up. So it's a really nice release for all of the muscles in the face. Great stress reliever. We'll do 3 lion's breaths here. So nice big inhale. Exhale, tongue out, shoulders back, eyes open and wide and looking up. Another inhale. Good. Make this last one as fierce and liony as you can. Big inhale. Good. Rotate here, fingertips forward. Walk yourself back out into our tabletop pose. And in a tabletop, knees are going to separate, hips width distance apart. Keep your toes curled under for stability. Use an inhale, lift your left heel up, gaze rises. Exhale, knee comes towards nose. Let yourself flow here, moving with your own breath's rhythm. Each inhale opening, each exhale coming back to your center. Good. One more inhale, reaching outwards, lifting upwards. Exhale, bring your knee to the ground. Keep your toes curled under. Walk your fingertips inwards here. Toes curled under, fingertips come inwards. We're moving towards a stretch of the plantar fascia. Might stay here, fingertips down, might bring your hands towards each other, keeping, again, those toes curled under, so we don't want to lose that stretch in the soles of your feet. If your hands are at heart, press your palms firmly towards each other and bring the forearms parallel to the ground. Good. Keep this pressure as you rotate fingertips forward and down as much as they can go, and up and inwards as much as they can go. Yeah, just moving here, keeping it nice pressure, palm to palm. Really doing some nice work here, not only to stretch the soles of our feet out, which are helping prepare the rest of your body for stretch, but also preparing these wrists. They've been holding a little bit of weight. Good. Let's release the hands. Give them a nice little shake. And I'm sure your toes are ready for a release. So lean forward here, free those toes, give them a nice little wiggle. Keep your feet lifted, find a little rotation both directions into your ankles. And as you're ready, let's settle those toes back down to the ground. Toes, again, are going to curl under. If your hands are not already, separate the wrists so they land beneath the shoulder blades. Spread your fingertips wide and use an inhale, lift your hips up and back, coming into really simple downward dog. First downward dog of the class today. Give yourself permission to be wiggly here, bending, straightening into opposite knees, walking the dog, the yogis say. Just allow for your body to open here. Keep your hips pressing backwards, spine nice and long. Head heavy, gaze backwards. Nice big inhale here. Exhale, invite your knees back down to the ground, coming back into the shape of the tabletop here. And as we come into our shape of the tabletop, again, curl your toes under, keep that stability. Use an inhale, reach your right heel up to hip height. Keep your gaze down. Next inhale, sweep your left fingertips forward. Exhale, lower left hand, right knee. Good, find your stability here. Weight equally balanced between both hands, both knees. Next, inhale, reach left heel up, right fingertips forward. Exhale, lower hand, lower knee. Inhale, right heel up, left arm forward. Exhale, lower hand, lower knee. Opposite side, inhale, reaching. Exhale, back to center. Good, so now we'll play with these blocks that we grabbed. So go ahead, get your 2 blocks. If, I should say this, if what we were just doing is enough for you, or if you don't have blocks, that's fine. You can stay where we were. The blocks add a layer to it. We've done this in class before. I think it's just a little fun. It's interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the block so that we have 1 block beneath our right hand. The opposite block will be beneath the left knee. So right hand, left knee. Right, so now we're off balance as we come back to tabletop here. So the hands and knees that are not connected to the blocks, those will be the ones lifting, okay? So our grounding will be through these blocks back down to the ground. So really ground down, that hand on the block, that knee on the block. Keep the toes of the leg that has the knee on the block curled under for stability. Use an inhale, lift your right heel up to hip height, left arm up. Good. Exhale, bring knee towards elbow. Inhale, lengthen long. Exhale, drawing in. Moving with your rhythm here. Good. Next, exhale, lower your hand, lower your knee. Set your 2 blocks off to the side. Knees here can separate, mats with distance apart. Big toes come towards each other. Bring your hips towards your heels. Lower your brow point down. Bring yourself into pose of the child. And as you come to this pose of the child or balasana shape, let yourself come back to this awareness of the breath. Notice the physical and the energetic effects of each inhale. And tuning in with the physical and energetic effects of each exhale. And noticing too the transition. Next inhale, bring your body back into tabletop. Good, take a seat on your heels so that you can set your blocks up. This time we'll do the front block will be underneath your left hand. Back block will be underneath your right knee. So setting your hand and knee onto the blocks. Opposite hand, opposite knee will land beneath the shoulder and the hips accordingly. Curl the toes of your right foot under. Good, keep that stability. As you feel stable here, use an inhale, lift your left heel up to hip height, stretch your right fingertips forward. Exhale, bring elbow towards knee. Move here with your breath's rhythm. Each inhale, find that opening, that extension. Each exhale, that drawing inwards. That sensation of coming back to the self. Next, exhale, lower your hand, lower your knee. Scoot your 2 blocks off to the side. Knees might separate, the width of your mat might stay together. Uncurl your toes and bring your body back into the shape of our child's pose, resting your forehead either on the ground or on a block. Do rest your head on something here though. Give yourself permission to ground. As again, your awareness comes back to the breath. Next inhale, lift your body upwards. Coming back to our hands and knees, let's bring our right foot forward between our hands. Always the option as one foot comes forward to use your blocks beneath the hand. It's not a necessary, but it is nice. Let your hips sink forward, peel your gaze upwards. Nice inhale here. Exhale, send your hips back, gaze down. Moving with your breath, hips come forward, gaze lifts. Nice inhale, exhale, drawing in. And the next time your hips come forward, let's stay here. So option to keep the back toes uncurled. If you'd like more stability, go ahead, curl those toes under. If that knee needs some padding, give yourself that. We're about to put some more pressure on that back knee because as we inhale, we'll bring both hands to heart center. Good, make sure that you feel stable here. So one thing that could cause a feeling of wiggliness is if that front heel is too far forward. If that's the case, just draw your front heel back. Give yourself a greater sense of stability. And again, curling those back toes under is a good way to help with stability. Roll your shoulders backwards here. Peel your gaze upwards. Nice big inhale. Exhale. See if you can sink your hips just a little bit more forward. Good. Roll your shoulders back. Peel your heart up. Lift your gaze. Big inhale here. Exhale. Lean forward. Rotate towards your right knee. Left elbow is going to hook. Roll your top shoulder open. Gaze lift. Coming into our kneeling twist. Breathe here. Good. At an inhale, unwind, bring it back to center. Bring both hands down. Now, if you haven't been using blocks here, I'm going to invite you to call those blocks inwards here and bring your blocks to their tallest height, tallest possible height we want the blocks on. Good. Curl your back toes under if they're not already. Press your back knee up and away from the ground. As that happens, the front leg will straighten. That's what we're looking for. We want a straight front leg. Now bring your back foot in just enough so that back heel can ground down into the earth. So coming here into our intense forward fold, our Parsvottanasana. Breathing here. You can stay high on your blocks. If you'd like more stretch, go ahead and change the height on those blocks. Keep, though, both legs nice and straight here, as straight as you comfortably can without forcing the knees to lock. Breathing here. Let yourself still be really focused on these transitions. Inhale to exhale. What you'll notice as the subtle awareness of the internal landscape increases through your practice is you'll start to notice areas of the body that the breath is able to reach, either during or after we hold these stretches. Good. On an inhale, step your back foot forward. On an exhale, step your right foot backwards. Keep the right heel lifted. Lower your right knee down to the ground. Good. If you need to change the height of your blocks or remove the blocks, we're coming back to our starting stretch in this little sequence. So in the starting stretch, we'll keep the heels weighted forward, gaze upwards, hips coming forward, not heels. Exhale, send your hips backwards, drop your gaze down. And just moving here with your breath, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Next time your hips come forward, let's pause here. Good. Finding stability as we prepare to lift our torso upwards here. So curl the right toes under. Make sure that right knee is protected with padding if you need it. Use an inhale. Bring your hands to heart center here. Good. And then make the adjustments that you might need to find greater stability. So maybe shorten the space between your front heel and your back knee. Roll your shoulders backwards. Lift your gaze. Nice big inhale here. Exhale, lengthen forward. Rotate towards your front knee. Hook the opposite elbow and then roll your top shoulder open. Keep your shoulder girdle firm here as you lean lightly back. Gaze could be lifted, could be lowered. Breathing here. Good. On an inhale, let's unwind, coming back towards center. Lower your hands down to catch your blocks if you're using them, and bring those blocks to their tallest height here. Blocks coming to the tallest height. Plant your hands firmly here. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other on your back body. Press into your back toes. Lift your back knee up. That action will create space for your front leg to come long. Good. Bring your back heel in just enough so you can plant your heel down, toes pointing forward here. Coming into our Parsvottanasana, our intense forward fold, this asymmetric forward fold. And if you'd like some more space to fold into, always the option to change the height of your blocks. We like to start high and then adjust to meet the body's needs. Good. Next, exhale, press into your block, send your front foot backwards here, and then we'll bring both knees down to the ground. As your knees find the earth again, set your blocks off to one side. Bring your palms to the ground, fingers spread nice and wide, high five hands meeting the ground here. Good. Keep your toes curled under. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Gaze drops down to the mat. Big inhale here. Exhale, press into your feet. Lift your hips up and back, coming back into the shape of our downward dog. Let your spine be nice and long here. Gaze back towards the back of your mat. Allow for your shoulder blades to reach away from your ears, creating some nice space here. And with your neck long, you might even find some space to relax your head from side to side, shaking no, and then nodding yes. If you still need some wiggliness in this pose, go ahead and give yourself that. If you're comfortable holding in stillness, let your focus remain on your breath. Inhale, lift your gaze to the top of your mat, lift your heels upward. Use your exhale, walk your heels forward. Take your fingertips to your knees, lengthen your spine long, gaze down. Big inhale here, exhale, let yourself soften in. Bring both hands to your hips, roll your shoulders open, use your exhale, rise up here. Inhale, reaching for the sky. Exhale, bring your hands towards each other, Anjali Mudra. Nice big inhale here, stretch up, lift your gaze. Exhale, lead with your heart as you come back into the shape of your forward fold. Half lift here, Ardha Uttanasana, fingertips in the ground or your knees. Exhale, draw your belly button in, let your spine lengthen long, weight of your head fully release, coming into a forward fold shape here. Let's do that again. Inhale, peel yourself halfway up, spine lengthens long, gaze stays down. Exhale, surrender more fully to the shape. Breathing here. Grounding here. So if your hands don't reach the ground easily, here's a great place where you can use your blocks. Inhale, both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Use your exhale. Rise up here. Bring yourself to standing. Good. Bring both palms towards each other on an inhale. Gaze here is forward. Let your eyes begin to search for a non-moving point. Allowing your eyes to land on this non-moving point, this drishti point. Keep your gaze focused there. Spread your toes wide away from each other as you ground down equally through the four corners of your feet. Good. Keep your left foot planted into the ground. Draw your right knee upwards, balancing here, holding here. Gaze is focused on the drishti. If you lose your balance at all, just invite yourself right back. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, begin to hinge forward at your hip. Kick your lifted leg behind you up to hip height. As your leg comes backwards, press through your heel. Draw your toes inward. Breathing here in this variation of our warrior three. Good. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. Shake out, opposite, opposite. Shake out, opposite, opposite here. Bring yourself into your mountain pose. Feet side by side, hands by your body, palms shine forward. Close your eyes here. And again, we close the eyes to release this external experience. Really let yourself ground down into the internal experience of this practice. And here in this mountain pose, grounding, connecting with earth energy, with that stable connection to earth. And as your eyes open, bring your hands towards each other. Let your gaze begin to focus here on a drishti point. Drishti, fancy word for just a non-moving point. And we choose non-moving because this point becomes the source of our stability as we prepare to balance. Good. Find a firm connection between your feet and the earth. Feel a lengthening upwards of your spine, of the roof of your mouth and the crown of your head. With your gaze focused on your drishti, use an inhale, bringing now left knee upwards, balancing in the right foot, breathing here. And again, always permission to lose your balance. If you lose it, just bring yourself back. You might even be holding onto a wall here. That is still working through this balancing practice. It's still going to give you strong benefit. Nice inhale here. Exhale, find your Virabhadrasana 3, hinge forward, kick your lifted leg backwards. As that leg kicks backwards, press through your heel, point your toes down to the ground. Good, next exhale, bring it back, foot comes back to the ground, shake out opposite arm, opposite leg. And come back to your Tadasana, the shape of the mountain. Feet here settled, hips width distance apart, hands down by your side, eyes closed, awareness inward. Breathing here. Good, nice big inhale. Let your eyes open. Let your fingertips reach upwards. Exhale, snuggle your shoulders inwards. Peel your thumbs back, lift your heart, lift your gaze here, coming into a standing back bend. Big inhale, radiate out through your 10 fingers, and exhale, lengthen forward, lower those fingertips down to the ground, coming into our shape of the forward fold. Find your half rise here, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften in. Let the weight of your head soften down here. And again, if we need blocks, grab blocks so that your hands can ground down. That gives the body a sense of safety of opening into this shape. Good, inhale, bring both hands to your hips, roll your shoulders open, use your exhale, press into your feet, rise up. Inhale, reaching for the sky. Exhale, bring your palms together, Anjali Mudra here. Reach down for your blocks if you're using them. Set your blocks on their tallest height. Bring your hands to your hips. Good, drop your gaze to your toes, step your right toes backwards, right heel plugging down, returning to the shape of our Parsvottanasana, this intense stretch of one leg. In this stretch, both legs are straight, so we're not bending at our knees. Hip points are even and all 10 toes point forward, so we don't have warrior feet here. Roll your shoulders open, draw your elbows towards each other. That's option 1. Option 2 is interlace your fingers behind your back. Reach your hands away from your sacrum. If you're in option 2, notice which thumb is on top. We'll do the opposite thumb on top next time. Good, nice big inhale here. Lift your heart, lift your gaze. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Good, this turns into a balance pose real quick if our hands are up in the air. So do the work, find that balance. Maybe find a drishti point on the floor. Breathing here. Nice big inhale. Whoops. Exhale, release your hands down to the ground. Catch onto your weighting blocks. Always the option to change the height on these blocks. If you find where your hands are that there is a deep fold, a deep wrinkle in your wrist, you might play with rotating your fingers back so that your fingertips point towards the toes of your right foot. If you took that option, let's send fingertips forward again. If you change the height of your blocks, send your blocks back to their tallest height. Use an inhale, step your back foot forward. Exhale, bring yourself all the way up to standing, coming back to our starting point. Hands at heart center. Gaze here, focused on your drishti. Good, feel into your body's response to this practice. Next exhale, send both hands to your hips. Drop your gaze downwards towards your toes. Let your gaze follow your left toes as they step backwards, left heel grounding down. And then as your gaze lifts upwards here, roll your shoulders open, point your elbows behind you. Good option to stay here, or take the interlaced hands, this time odd thumb on top. Reach your hands away from your low back. Lift your gaze upwards here. Nice big inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Let those folded hands reach up towards the ceiling. Gaze drops downwards here, coming into this variation of our Parsvottanasana. Good, big inhale here. Exhale, let your hands come down, reaching for your blocks or the ground, making any adjustments you need here. And again, you might take that variation if you find with your hands down a deep fold in your wrist, maybe rotate thumbs forward, fingers backwards. Then if you took that variation, rotate fingertips forward, walk your hands back onto your block, step your back foot forward. Here, separate your feet slightly wider than your hips. Bend into your knees, drop your weight into your hips, coming into our low yogi squat. Good, if you need some extra support here, go ahead and sit a block underneath your seat. Let your elbows find your inner knees, palms come towards each other. Breathing here at our Malasana. Good, and exhale, settle your hands down. If you did take that block beneath your seat, scoot that out of your way. Bring your knees down to the ground and keep those blocks close by. Good, so we'll transition back into our tabletop shape, right foot forward. So left knee down, right foot forward. Curl your left toes under. Scoot your left knee backwards, so away from the left hip, moving from that straight line beneath the left hip to backwards here. Good, left toes could stay curled under here or uncurled. Begin to inch your right heel slightly forward. So coming into a wider shape of this low lunge than we might usually. Good, begin to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, keeping this wider shape. So we don't want to come to the point where we're creating any pain, any tearing, obviously, in our muscles. We do want to kind of come into a deeper stretch than we've come into so far. So stay real conscious of the internal experience. Let yourself stay really breath-centered here. Use the blocks for support. So the blocks have a lot of different heights you can play with. Good, so option to stay here. If you'd like, if those back toes are curled under, let's uncurl the back toes. Play with sending that front heel a little bit further forward. So what it is, we're using our blocks here, we're using our support to come more and more into this shape of Hanumanasana. Hanumanasana, the yogi phrase for splits. Now, I don't have the split in my practice. This is pretty close to, not quite as far as I'll go. If you do have full split in your practice, feel free to go there. But this is a nice place to sit, to breathe for those of us who don't have that in our repertoire, but want to experience the benefits. And so breathing deeply here, wherever you are, you might notice as you hold that you can change the height of those blocks. And again, if the stretch you're feeling is too intense, always a permission to go higher, not that you need permission. And we're very gently going to begin to work our way out of this. So to work your way out, place your blocks in a stable position where you can really weight your hands into them. Curl your back toes under. First step is drawing that front heel back inward. Good. Draw your front heel in, and then we'll bring this back knee directly beneath the back hip. So coming back into those 90-degree angles. Good. Let's invite our front knee back beneath its right hip. Left heel is going to come forward here. Good. And just feeling into this. So we're in a very grounded position here. We've got front foot, back knee down, both hands down. Good. So if you're already experiencing your full stretch here, you don't need to go further. If you'd like to go further, moving towards this idea of Hanumanasana, the pose of the Monkey King, curl your back toes under, begin to walk your back knee towards that back line of your yoga mat. So taking the knee out of that direct line underneath the hip. Good. Let's walk our hands now underneath our shoulders. Lift your torso upwards. Keep your hands grounding down into your blocks. Good. So all of these pauses are stopping points. You don't need to go further. If you find your ideal stretch, that's where you'll stay. And when I say ideal stretch, I want you to be able to breathe and to be at about, let's say, 80% of what you could do. And the reason I say 80% and not 100, we want to leave room for your body to open in a healthful way without causing any tears. And so you might stay here. If you'd like to go further, if those back toes are curled under, uncurl your back toes. Begin to play with how it feels to send your front heel forward. And you don't need to come into straight legs today. So we're really using our hands on the blocks to control how much or how little we're going to invite our body into this stretch. Stay centered on your breath here. You might find that you want to change the height of your blocks at any point in time. Notice those shifts between your inhale and your exhale. If you notice your breath starting to hitch or to hold here, that's your body telling you to back up a little bit. What you might notice as you hold this shape and as you breathe is your body starts to open. Another nice big inhale here. Full exhale. Let's begin to invite yourself out of this. Curl your back toes under if they're not already. Begin to bring your front heel inwards. As your front heel comes inwards, draw your back knee underneath its same hip. Good. Bring your front knee backwards here. If you've been working with blocks, scoot those out of the way. Keep them close enough to reach if you'd like them. Keep both toes curled under, fingertips here, draw towards your knees, so coming to a low squat. Lift your knees here away from the ground, and as your knees lift upwards, heels might come down. Keep your hands connected to the ground or to your blocks as your hips come upwards, head lowers, coming here into the shape of our forward fold. Good. Find your half lift, Ardha Uttanasana here. Gaze down, spine nice and long. Again, always the option to work with our blocks underneath our hands. That sometimes helps us get into a shape faster. Use your exhale, let your spine lengthen long, release the weight of your head down. Notice in your breath if you've created some extra space in your body. Good. Inhale, bring your hands to your hips, roll your shoulders open. Use your exhale, rise here. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bring your palms towards each other. Bend into your knees, lower your fingertips down, coming back to our low squat starting position, and then release the weight of your body onto the ground. As your body comes onto the ground, clear your mat, clear anything out of your way so that you can lie flat on your back. And coming here to your back body, stretch your arms up and over your head. Stretching your arms over your head, begin to reach your fingertips towards the right. Keep both shoulder blades connected to the ground here. Walk your heels also off to the right, keeping both hip points connected down to the ground. Breathing deeply here into the left side body. Good. On an inhale, walk your heels back towards center. Walk your hands back towards center. Reaching now, fingertips and heels to the left. Taking this side stretch, breathing into the right body. Good. Inhale, heels back towards center, fingertips back towards center. Let your hands rest down by your side here. Invite both knees coming in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees. Find a little movement side to side. Letting your feet come back down to the ground. As your feet reach the earth, walk the inner edges of your feet towards each other. Invite your knees to open away from each other as the soles of your feet join. Settle one hand over your heart, one over your belly. And as we come into our reclining butterfly, let your awareness once more return to your breath. Let yourself once more notice the physical expression of your inhale. Noticing the effect of fresh prana, fresh energy of life with each in-breath. Notice that transition from inhale to exhale. Feel the way your belly draws in, your ribs draw towards each other. As you release your breath out. See if you can connect even more subtly here with those small little spaces of relaxing that start to happen as we give ourselves permission to fully exhale. And trying here to draw out those spaces of transition, those spaces between each breath. On an inhale, bring your knees towards each other. Let your hands soften down by your side, palms up. Let your heels lengthen long in front of you, maybe supporting your knees as you bring your body into a state of rest, into the shape of Shavasana. As you come to rest in your Shavasana, allow your awareness to drift away from your breath, letting yourself come into a state of stillness in body and in mind, state where you're able to integrate these mind-body benefits of your practice. Let your awareness very gently return to your breath. Find some small movements into your fingers and your toes. Those movements come upwards into your wrists, your ankles. As you're ready, stretch your body long. Bring your knees towards your chest. And some movement side to side. Let yourself come to rest easy on one side. Use your top hand pressing down to bring your body back up to a seat. As you find your seat, let your eyes close. Invite one hand to the heart, one to the belly. We'll finish our practice today with our 4-part breath. That's our inhale with a hold, exhale with a hold. And taking this idea of drawing in awareness to the transitions and just holding, really creating a space between each inhale and exhale. The next time your breath is exhaled out, release this pattern. Let your chin draw in. Bring your palms together, bowing here to the eternal, essential self that you have within. Thank yourself for creating this time to connect today with your breath and your body. I'm so grateful to share a practice with you today. Namaste.